I think most important part of the developers is also share knowledge. That I think is because the open source is also too important for us. Even Erlang and Elixir are bigger examples for us. That is why we are here today. And the blogging is something that we can do for sharing knowledge with other people. So when I started blogging, I started with the idea to share something with the people, but also for me, because I don't know if it passed to you that you are performing something, and then you don't know when it's going to be happening again, and then you put that in one place. So I think the one place that is good for documentation is a blog. So who in the audience is writing your own blog? So okay, you are sharing. And who in, I put a pool in Huba, but there was a lot of controversy because I put different technologies to plug in, but the most populated were others. So there are a lot of technologies that I was not contemplating there, but the most important or the most known technologies I have on top of my mind are the cloud as a service technologies like Medium or Dev or others that I think they are the most in use. The others like systems that you can install in a server like WordPress or Sotonic. That could be another interesting choice. And the others is one I want to show you today, that is a static development or the static deployment of HTMLs directly in the server, and then get the advantage of that is not, well, it's more difficult to hack for. So I want to start with my story, that is a little blog story. I started blogging in 2006. Yeah, I'm that kind of old guy. And I was studying Spanish because, well, I learned English a couple of years later than they appearing there. So my English is not very good. Sorry about that. My blog is mainly in Spanish. These days it's still also in Spanish. Those days it was called Bosque Viejo. That is something like Old Forest. Lord of the Rings is another of my passions. You can. And well, I was in love with WordPress because at that moment I was a PHP developer. If you know me from previous conference, you know that, of course, because I'm the crazy man that I was writing the PHP over Erlang. And because I wanted to get the blog, and I was a PHP developer, the most known choice was WordPress. Okay, that was. But I was facing the typical problems of WordPress, to be hacked once a year or every 6 months, more or less, to get plenty of moderation comments, and then see the requirements for the server that was increasing every year. That is not is something like you can get the teeny server from Amazon, but you can get something a bit more higher if you have some kind of traffic in your server. So that was not sustainable. So I was worried about, well, what can I do? No? And in the 2013, I discovered that I could migrate everything to Octopress. Well, I tried previously to Jekyll, but Jekyll is a bit difficult to handle if you came from WordPress. And Octopress is something like Jekyll, but more easy for the people that came from WordPress. So it's exactly the same features, the same plugins. And I was in love again. You can get the HTML files. You can get Markdown. That is more easy to write for us because you are used to write Markdowns for your readmes, for the documentation usually. So and even I can use Git. So I was feeling like a developer again with my blog, and I was in love with that system. And in this moment, was when I was changing my blog from Bosque Viejo to Altenwald, that is a German word that is meaning exactly the same. So, but because I was trying to put Bosque Viejo in Spain as the name of my company, and was not that name was busy or was not possible to put. But well, and exactly the same, I was experiencing a lot of issues with this solution. Mainly because at that moment I had more than 300 posts in my blog, and that was taking more than 20 minutes to get the whole site completely compiled. So that was a lot of time. Even if you get one mistake in one post, getting 20 minutes to get everything again compiled and then deploy in the server. But well, in the benefits, you can get only HTML files. Even I get a blog post including everything that I was using. Some solutions are not as well as WordPress, or they are a bit of controversial tools like Disqus or something like that. But well, in some sense, you can get out that from your handling, from your management, and that is handling in other places. So I was discovering in 2015 Lambda Pad that was published in the first time by Garrett Smith. He was showing us that, well, if you are doing this kind of things, you can do it in Erlang. Yes, in Erlang. First, and at last, no, you can get whatever you are coding at that moment in the same version or the same language you are used to, and keeping the same features. So you are writing Markdown files, you are getting the HTML files, and then you get your blog ready. So there was 2 years using it, but I had again a couple of problems that I was putting in the GitHub, and those are only mine. There are a lot of more. That I was used to use a lot of plugins from Octopress that was generating the sitemap, was generating auto SERPs, was generating pagination, and that was up to you in Lambda Pad. Was not too difficult to do it, but was a cumbersome progression to go from one solution to another. And then the straw that breaks the camel's back was when I tried to get that working. Time pass, no, but one thing that I think is a problem in most of the programming languages is if you are not upgrading continuously, that was attached to the past, and I had to get an old version of Debian with the multi-markdown, with the Erlang version that was requiring the Lambda Pad, because that was not updated anymore from 2015, and Erlang was changing a lot. So I have the building the process inside of a Docker, and Docker was also, I don't know why, getting slower with time. So when you get into the compilation, that was getting 10 minutes in the beginning, but years later, with more or less the same, was taking 30 minutes. So I was not finding explanation, but again, we have exactly the same problem that I had experiencing with Octopress in the past. So, well, this is, I was retrieving for this presentation the old version of my Git and compiling in Docker to show you that this is getting 31 minutes at that moment. And then I was analyzing, because I had some time last year, and say, well, what's the problem? Why this is taking 30 minutes to be compiled? So I'm a developer, we are using Erlang, that should be easy to face it, the problem. So we had there 30 or more than 30 files in Markdown. We had to generate more than 30 files in HTML. That is generating also SERPs, the indexes that are paginating. So, well, this is the maybe 20 pages extra. But it is using a command line that is called Markdown. So for every page and every SERP, we are running a shell command into the cell. So in the beginning, I was thinking about, well, if we cache that information, we are only passing that information once. But the third multi-markdown has the thing that you cannot do that. You have to do it for the full post and then only for the SERP. So you have 300 of post, you have to run the shell command 600 times. But again, I want to generate the RSS and I want to get some other things that are using a plain text, not HTML. So I was finding that that was running commands 1,000 or more times. So that was not a good plan. And that was the explanation. But then a new development came into Elixir that was Erlang. That was the tool that is in use to build the docs, this day for hex docs. And I had the idea, well, if instead to call the command line, we use Erlang instead, so we can get the Markdown with the cert, the full text, and get the HTML, the Markdown, and the plain text for everyone. So if we specifically develop that to do it in that format, how is the improvement? I was trying to get some benchmark about what we had, what is this idea, how is improving the system. And well, I forgot to put it, but I put a tweet when I achieved it, because the whole system was running in only 20 seconds. So that is pretty nice. Well, this is very small, but it's only to give you an idea about the structure of the post when I'm writing. So I have one place that is for the headers, that is the meta information that I'm putting on top of the post. That is the ID that is going to use in the URI, the title, subtitle, and all the information that is going to be used for building the HTML. And then the third is including into the body of the text, but mark with that specific tag. That I copied that idea from Octopress, because they were using it in this way. So this is only to get it the full text, localize the text that is this tag, and then you have the cert and the plenty the full document. And I was thinking about the configuration, and I realized that well, in Erlang solutions for Mongoose IM, they were starting to use toml. That is pretty nice, because that remembers the old days when we are using ini files for systems like DOS. And it's pretty simple. So you can get the key, equal, and the value. So that has not a lot of controversy. The only mandatory data that we have to include in the config.toml is the URL. The rest is only put there for make easier the way of generating the things. And this is the way you can see the Lambda Pad exs. That is an example. I use it a lot of metaprogramming to abstract the idea of URL coding. But of course, we are using Elixir. This has different definitions. We are defining with sources where are the Markdown files. We are using pages for the generation of every page. That is including the generation of single pages, paginated indexes, blog post. Using the different configurations, so we can generate in different ways the pages. And we have transforms. Keep in mind that we have metadata. You can see that we have the data. Oh, no, the date, sorry. The date is text that we can get. And if we want to transform that to get the year, the month, and the day, we can create a transform that is getting that data and transforming it to store in the as a new data inside of the post, the metadata. So in this case, you can see a reading time that is getting the content of the blog post and calculating in some way how many minutes it's taking to read it. And the widget. This was a very amazing idea that I had because I wanted to come back with the recent post. That is the list of the posts we have in every page for you are visiting, for example, one post, or you are visiting the index, and you are seeing the aside that you have there the recent post, the tags, categories, and a lot of information that is repeated in every page. So the widget is a way to get that information only once that is generated in the HTML, and then we can inject that into the templates in the place we wanted. Well, demo time. So this is going to be fast, or I hope so. Wait. Well, first, we have here the page. We get the link. Oh, okay. So here we get the Lambda Pad. Well, put it. Oh, wait. Put the permissions. Okay, so Lambda Pad has templates. At this moment, we have an Erlang blog and a blog. So we can create the new blog. For example, this is well, an Erlang blog. This is generating the template that is including into the Lambda Pad. And only running. Oh no, sorry, I had to go into my blog and then Lambda Pad. Oh, sorry. Get it. Okay, so we have also the ability that I was including cowboy. So this is getting the possibility to get the result directly with the server when we are performing changes. So the idea is basically we have here the generated Erlang part. No, I'm going to generate another blog, for example. This is the Elixir one. So in the same way, oh sorry, this. We can go to the HTTP, recompile, and well, you can see this is not even getting 1 second to get it. And it's also, well, I was using exactly the same templates. You can do exactly the same in Erlang Elixir. And of course, that is being able to compile it directly. Or if we want to get more information, what is this doing exactly? We can get the information about the pacing of the processing of the pages, the widgets, the configuration, and everything. So, well, we back. Well, I show it, but the Erlang part. I was realizing that when I was using Earmark, I was changing everything from Lambda Pad that Garrett developed in Erlang to use only Elixir. So I was thinking that I was treating or well, it was like well, they were using Erlang and I was changing the language. No, so I wanted to come back the language, and as I saw in the pool from Huba, Erlang is I think it's most in use than Elixir for us. So if you want to generate your blog with Erlang, it's possible. The configuration you can choose if the configuration could be wrote in the like a configuration in Erlang with this format, or you can still or stick with the TOML format. Those are interchanged. I was thinking about to include other kind of configurations like YAML or JSON, but I was not in that mood. And this is the format of the index. This is always generating a module that is called index, and then we have the configuration part, that is a function that is called config, where we are putting exactly the same configuration parts, the assets, and we can put the function that is the pages, that is telling, is defining or should be returning a map with a key that is the URL for the generation of the pages and the configuration inside. So here we can see that we have the post, putting the /post/ and the ID from the metadata from every post. And then the widgets that are also available as the function, and we can define the different widgets. So it's complicated, I know it, because it's based on code. You have to perform transformation. Maybe it's not too clear in the beginning. I put it the lambdapad.com in the GitHub repository to get more examples. And I'm also releasing my blog. I'm trying to remove personal things that I have from the past to put it available also to get more examples. And well, the themes is, or the look and feel is the most difficult part to get it. I'm working again with the PHP to get the templates directly for WordPress in use directly inside of Lambda Pad. So you can get one theme from WordPress, put it in the templates directory, and configure it with the extension of each PHP to get the regeneration of the HTML pages with that look and feel from WordPress. But well, it's a lot of things to do. So if you want to contribute, there is the links to access to the GitHub, to the website. Well, that's all.
Thank you very much, Manuel. We have time for a very quick question from Brujo. And the mic is coming to Brujo.
Yeah, my question was, this works well for personal blogs, if you had a community blog, say with editors, writers, and stuff like that, would you still recommend this tooling, or would you recommend something else?
Well, it was working because if you check, sorry, you check the Lambda Pad page, maybe you can see it's pretty similar to another one. I was trying to get an example of a conversion of a Reverb 3 to Lambda Pad, but it was too much work to convert everything from Doxy to Lambda Pad. But I'm still working on that. And I think because we are using Git, get the modification into the Git and then the upload and deploy is good enough to work with others.